Doesn't that just get you in the mood right away, guys? Honestly, thanks everyone joining us live and loud. Fist bumps on arrival. If you're watching this after we've been live, I hope you enjoyed the intro. That was my raw footage. You can probably tell with the 2-megapixel camera back in the day. Victor Wanyama's big goal against Barcelona to open up the scoring. And hey, guys, we are at match day 7 of the Champions League. How many times have we done that before? I know we're guaranteed 8, but it's still a funny feeling all the same. Champions League football after the winter, match day 7, and it's still got that same kind of vibe of like a first leg of a knockout where it's like at home against an opposition you fancy, do the job at home, don't worry about the second leg kind of attitude. So I'm right in the mood for this game in so many ways. I was at Celtic Park earlier today. I was Grace Paradise myself. Personal invitation from subscribers of the channel, Brendan Rodgers and Callum McGregor. So we got to see and meet those guys, ask some questions, which is all great as well. I think we'll maybe touch on some of that in the show today. But like we normally do here on the channel, and I've been a little bit behind the 8 ball schedule-wise, we're going to preview the game. We're going to do predicted 11s for both teams. We're going to do predicted scores, man of the match, general preview of the game. Celtic earlier today dropped some training footage. So while I'm talking, if there's nothing else to put on screen, we'll just maybe slide that on and see how the boys are looking today in training, because training today was referenced by Captain Callum McGregor, who is the madman screaming Wanyama. No comment. No comment. Yours truly, of course. But yeah, always puts a big smile on my face, that one. And Big Dom, McLaughlin P, good to see you guys live and loud in the chat straight away. And anything else I'm just trying to think of to touch on in the video. It's mainly just previewing the game, of course. I'm just trying to think of all the little kind of categories that we hit off as we go into this one. But I'll show you what I was doing actually to prepare for the stream today after a meeting. We'll probably talk about the press conference quite early on, I suppose, since that happened today. That's kind of hot news. And I was there, which is cool. But I was looking at the game the young boys played this weekend, just trying to get set up for the stream tonight, just thinking like, they played a match and it was a 0-0 draw, fine, but is there anything that we can see from this? And I don't know about yous, right? But this is like, wow, this is an image paints, a picture's worth 1,000 words kind of situation. Now, all you guys at home, feel free to play along, but when you look at this, okay, you should see quite quickly that the young boys' defense have scored absolutely incredibly well, and the forwards have not. Okay, whereas the team Winterthur here, none of them scored really well. Their defense were quite busy as well. But when I see how busy this defense was, I'm thinking Winterthur might have been in this a little bit more. Yeah, 7 shots, 2 on target. It definitely wasn't a one-way street. 65-35 possession wise, like isn't total domination of the ball, especially when you're playing against a counter-attack kind of team. So let's have a wee peek. What were these guys up to at the weekend? Causing some fouls and stuff, some getting some tackles. Jules were all right for him. Wee left back. And what about out right back? You seem to do quite well. He's won a wee tackle. Now, I listened to some great content on Celtic Fans TV. They did an interview with, I forget the Twitter name, but that guy's Twitter account is brilliant. It's definitely worth a follow. And they were talking about how it's another new manager, and there was some nice detail that guy gave over. So, yeah, it was just interesting to see. This guy's lost his Jules. That's fun to see. But, yeah, he actually had a bit of attacking output. But when I see the defence is so busy and the attack has done nothing, quite tells you quite quickly that, hey, they're not being that effective. The attacking, the defensive midfielder, sorry, I beg your pardon here, with a clearance off the line in this game, I think just paints the full picture here. 2 shots on target from him. And yeah, like this doesn't worry me too much, because Winterthur, if we were to look at, can we click onto the Swiss League somehow easily on this screen? No, maybe not. We might need to go back. There we go, Super League. And then if we can scroll down, Winterthur are rock to the bottom. 3 wins all season, 5 draws. That game you just seen being one of them. They have conceded 40 goals in 19 matches, minus 24 goal difference. And this attack, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, guys, right? But this attack did diddly haw. Even from the bench. It's not as if like somebody came on and maybe gave them a flurry or whatever. So, like I mentioned on, I think it was on Axom on Monday, like this team are on the ropes big time. Like if we score early, we score quick, their first thought's going to be don't get pumped, So this is a game I'm really excited for. And there was a nice little bit of excitement, nice little bit of build up at Celtic Park. I definitely felt with the Champions League apparatus everywhere. I've been at a few of these press conferences, not many, but it definitely had that extra little, sense of occasion in the air, let's say. And McGregor's definitely up for this as well. And it was interesting. He got asked a question about the fans and all the rest of it, and he's talking about like doing it on the pitch, which was great to see. Kaiser, my man, good to see you as well. Hail, hail to everyone. Young boys have drew 6, lost 7 of their league this season. Yeah, if it was away, I would maybe think of this as potentially more banana skinny, because I think we've spoken about this on the channel a number of times as previewing the Champions League. But whenever young boys come into the conversation, they did get a not terrible result against Inter Milan, which, you know, fair enough. But anyway, it's not at their bit, so I don't give them that. Don't give them that latitude. Now, I do have the board all set up. I think the predicted 11 for Celtic is kind of as easy as it's been this season. There's no real room for manoeuvre in so many spots. It feels like Trusty and Vickers is nailed in. And by the way, I asked Brendan 2 questions. If I felt that I had latitude for a third, I would have went back in, but I felt that my questions weren't getting across. So if he's catch the press conference with Brendan, I got 2 questions in, and it's the second time I've managed to throw some questions to Brendan, and I'm not sure if he's sore with me. I'm not sure if it's that or if I just worded it really poorly. Maybe I'm just being paranoid or whatever, right? But I was asking, like, you know, our build up to this has been like a game every 3 days, do or die, injuries as well, having to rotate the squad, right? Full throttle. It's one end of the scale. The other end of the scale is young boys, winter break, and then 1 game back before this one. And I was trying to ask him the question essentially, and I've kind of it's developed in my mind more afterwards, but like, would you rather be match sharp or like well rested? Essentially is what I was trying to ask him. And he came out first of all and said, like, no one wants to hear if you're tired and all that, which is fine. And he actually gives like a really great answer, which I was very thankful for, of course. But I don't feel that what I was trying to ask kind of got across. So, and then the second one about Kyogo, because we were chatting, right? And let's just do this on the board, right? But we were chatting about how Kyogo out in this area here for the couple of games he had to play is getting 50, 60 touches a match and looks like a totally different player, more strings to his bow, as I would call it. And we don't see any of that through the middle. Now, he has played wide and then later in the same match, been like through substitutions elsewhere, been moved back into the middle, and we didn't quite see any of that carryover. But again, I was trying to ask Brendan, like, you know, could we get a bit more out of Kyogo in this position? He's shown he's got such a great ability, like on the ball and like playing between lines and all the rest of it. Like, we don't see that through the middle, you know, and when the goals aren't there, it's just even more pressure, you know. So even if he's involved a bit more in this kind of stuff happening, the consistency of the goals is less important as long as the grand total still ends up as like 20 or 18 or 25, whatever it ends up being in the end, you know. So, and again, I didn't really get that. I think he thought I was asking, should we play Kyogo out wide? And I was like, oh, no, I'm not asking that, man. I'm not like that mad fan in the press conference, like, you know. But anyway, so I don't think that one really landed. But again, it was a great answer because there's been a lot of discussion around Kyogo and Rodgers, especially with the signing of Ida and the previous profiling of Edwards and Dembele's, and the type is like, oh, is Kyogo even a Brendan Rodgers guy? And Brendan was like, Kyogo is he is the best forward I could get, you know, like I could not ask for a better forward is essentially what he said back to me on that one. So great to, you know, so anyway, I don't know where to start with this, but I thought we would just kind of flavour it with that. And there's some great chat coming in as well. I thought young boys had a few injuries to key players. They maybe do. I'm not as familiar with their like day-to-day squad and all that kind of stuff as many of the other teams that we can cover here on the channel. But this is the last game, you know, and these guys are coming off the bench. Having looked through, like, if we look at the Stuttgart game, like this Virginius guy plays a little bit more. I think this Ganvola is quite ever-present as well. And yeah, there is maybe some rotations. Now, this is a funny thing, right? The guy that was on Celtic Fans TV said that the goalkeeper has been dropped for the other goalkeeper, right? Or maybe it's kind of unknown until tonight. I think they would be crazy to not play like an experienced goalkeeper, because young boys have played European games over the last however long he's been there anyway, if he's been ever present. So I think, you know, they would be mad to do that, and if they do, then more the fool them, I suppose. Pardon me. That's the only thing on the tactics board I think I'm, you know, might be wrong or whatever. We might see a difference in goal, but I think like if you're this manager just coming in, like he won't personally, like he will want to beat Celtic, the manager of young boys. It'll be a big thing for him coming into the club, trying to resurrect them. And again, like it's been spoken about how bad they're doing in the league, young boys, right? And that's all fair game. And I'm right behind you on all of that, right? But if we zoom into this, right? What's the zoom? Oh, we need mad zoom. Oh, Jesus, we need to do the mad zoom on this website. Sorry, scroll down. Get there eventually. There we go. So Lugano, look at that. 32 points in the top. And then Zurich in 6th, 30. The whole top of the table, there's nothing in it. Absolutely nothing in it. And yeah, they are still like they are cut away from that. But again, they're a Champions League team right now. Not being in Europe next year will be like that's just so they've got their own kind of things on the go. But it is also not that important a match, let's say, for them in the grand scheme of things. Like they're not going to qualify for the next round of the Champions League. They can't qualify for the Europa League. And if they are struggling with injury, and there is some guys that like they're using their 5 subs very regular, whether that's through design or by reaction, it's still happening, So I'm like so confident coming into this, and I think a big part of it, right, is McGregor at the weekend against Kilmarnock was just absolutely peak, because when he's in this controller position, this kind of deeper spot, the thing that is often like with McGregor, like if he's not doing anything domestically or he's getting like some criticism or whatever, like when we're attacking and we're winning games, it's generally like the passing range is quite repetitive, let's say. But against Kelly, like he was just like dropping the shoulder. And I say turning the shoulder makes it sound more like flary than what it was, but it was just like holding possession and just knew where the space was and just would like run in a circle around the guy and just drove through the middle of the pitch whenever he could. And there was good synergy between him and Engels and Hatate to like cover in for each other, and there was a lovely kind of interplay between them all. And they were much closer together in this game, exchanging more passes. And I think you can see that we've been crying out in this channel for that midfield control to kind of come back, because having the midfielders let's pitch so far apart like we normally do, I just think it makes us quite like one-dimensional. And this kind of development that maybe we can bring into this game, I really hope we do, is levels above. That is the sort of thing that got us the result against Leipzig. That's the sort of thing that gave us really good moments in the match against Bruges, where I think we really should have won it. We should have won that match, of course. And I really think same again, like again, the quality generally throughout the squad is why we should have beat Zagreb, because we just never tested that goalkeeper enough. And with Kuhn just coming straight back into the team, Daizen Maeda in the form of his life in a Celtic jersey, let's call it how it is. He's living his best life right now. It feels like we are lock stocked. Both barrels are loaded, and we've got our sights right on their head for this one. Heard you ask Brendan the break could have had, and his response reflects the pressure from us fans. Was hoping you would ask if there's a sign. I'm not, Kaiser. If it wasn't a Champions League game, I would have definitely said something. But it's got to be about the match, because that could be. I don't want to get burned. I don't want to get scolded. If it's a champion, it's about the match, man. Full focus on the task at hand, I think. But on the live stream, not the case, of course. Big Dom, Quinny, do you think our target recruitment players are waiting? Yes, I definitely think so. I think Celtic are definitely like good enough infrastructure-wise to line deals up for this kind of thing. And I think there's definitely history and even anecdotes of all this kind of stuff happening. And like, oh, if we beat this team, we would have signed this guy. And oh, because we lost this game, we sold that one. I think there's lots of that going around. So I definitely think that Tierney being permanent or not is probably hinging on qualification, because you really like say what you want about Tierney. And we've done I like to think a good video on the channel not too long ago about Tierney, rather up to date, quite thorough in terms of the whole package, the consequences of the squad, what he adds, what he doesn't add, etc. And no matter what, right? If when we sign Kieran Tierney, we're to get 2 good matches, 5 good matches, that kind of range out of him, just with him kind of coming back, not being an out and out first team all the time. The Champions League next stages, like that's when you want a guy like that knocking about, So I think, yeah, that's probably lined up. Loud and clear. Thanks very much. I'm glad you think so. I think we will be able to target better players. I agree. I was saying this on my channel last night, but if you look at the whole dynamic across the Champions League group stage now and what it offers wider European football, like we are going to see in like the next, I'm going to say 3 years maximum, right? We're going to see like a total power shift in terms of what clubs sign what players, because like one of the things, like, let's call a spade a spade. This is a Super League, no two ways about it, right? We've been kind of saying that ever since it came out, and all the Super League chat benefits us because we're in the chat all the time. If we get more money, we play bigger and better games. We compete for bigger and better trophies. I don't know what there would be to complain about, overall, just as a kind of broad stroke kind of thing. we're guaranteed, if you're into this stage, 8 games, like we said at the top of the show, match day 7, we're in already. And it's got that wee event is around the corner. Something's about to happen, and it's only the third time. Also with the UEFA Cup runs and Europa League runs, we're within European football after Christmas, of course. But look at this league tonight. I'm sure it's tonight, maybe tomorrow, but it's Man City PSG. Look at the table. That is a genuine 6-pointer that could eliminate one of them. Right? So that's kind of nice, right? That it's not like, imagine in a group stage normally, it's the second to last match, the penultimate game, Man City PSG. What's the situation? They're both probably home and hosed in the group most of the time. You get groups of death, I get it, whatever. And it's a dead rubber between the two of them. It's not really a match. They might take it seriously, they might not. But this is like, that's going to be a tasty match to watch. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And there's tons of this. I spent a lot of time on my stream this morning at Quinny 3001, if you want to check it out, kind of previewing the table, previewing all the games for this midweek that we've got, the Champions League and the Europa League slate. And like, look at this, like Brest, Lille, these teams being up there and getting stuck into it, like that's going to make a huge difference. They're going to get 10 games, 12 games this year. Makes a huge difference to them. Now they're in a Big Five league, right? So if we kind of take them, Brest are kind of like plucky guys, aren't they? So normally from France, you might get a more recognised team most of the time, but fair play to them for doing their thing. But Benfica, Sporting Lisbon, Feyenoord, Bruges, us, PSV, Zagreb, let's call it a spade again. Throughout my life in the Champions League, Zagreb gets 0 points, like all the time. They're always like the team that makes everyone say, we shouldn't have these teams in the Champions League. Zagreb are always one of the examples. I think, yes, the Scottish teams have maybe helped to that once or twice, but very much more often, it's teams like Red Star, it's teams like Zagreb, it's teams like Sparta Prague, Sturm Graz. These are the teams that normally get 0 points, 1 point, and people go, why do we have them in here? Bratislava, So, like, some of them are still kind of cut off and all the rest of it, right? But when you see the likes of Leipzig, even Salzburg, both the Red Bulls there, the team that came out of Spain in third position, Girona, all down in that kind of spot there. Stuttgart are playing Bratislava this week, so they're going to get to 10 points and they're going to be in this picture again as well. But you imagine us, Benfica, PSV, even Zagreb, getting to this stage 3 times out of 4. For some of them, it'll be 4 out of 4. For one or two of them, it may be 2 out of 4, right? But even that frequency wildly changes your finances, but it wildly changes your proposition to players in the transfer market. I was hopeful. It was maybe a wee bit delusional, right? Maybe a wee bit. There's always a little bit of that with me in terms of who we might be able to sign, right? But I was halfway hopeful. We're after another attacking forward. This guy, Assane Diao, is amazing, and he was leaving Betis for 10 million euros, I want to say. And I added Celtic in a post about it. He's ended up going to Como, and wouldn't you know it, he's doing all right. Now, Como, what have they offered him? Serie A football, first team football, under Cesc Fabregas in a cool place, whatever, right? But for 10 million euros, guys like that, and I'm not saying we should have, we didn't get him or whatever, what a problem. But just us being in the chat for guys like that is way, way more of a thing now, because being at like a run-of-the-mill top 5 league team in this new format, in this new world, is nowhere near as appealing as playing 8 to 10 to 12 Champions League games a season. Like, that's a significant volume all of a sudden. It's not 6 group stage games and then you're on to plums in the Europa League at best. It's 8 games you play all the way through the season. And even if you think about players like that are wanting to springboard their career, that's unreal exposure. We're seeing Kuhn being linked to the Germany squad after like very good performances, of course, but he was playing in Austria and everyone in Germany was like, who the hell is this guy? So it's such a huge like kind of paradigm shift now where, let's see the way people look at now, we're not going to be the same, right? Because it's not the same standard of league and all the rest of it, right? But the way that people look at when like Kane goes to Bayern Munich, it's like, he's just going there to win titles and have a good Champions League campaign. We're going to sign players like that, Now we're not in the same breath, obviously, thinking, we're going to win it, right? Like Bayern could be. No, and I'm always open to us winning it. Don't get me wrong. I'm always praying for it. But people will sign for us for that. Go there, learn to be a winner, win stuff, and become a Champions League player. So I think I can't remember how we got into this, little Fred, but in terms of recruitment and stuff like that, we're going to be in a different caliber of player. Press pass revoked. Do you think so? Blame it on me and say Brendan Rodgers. And they're asking about record signings should reach knockouts. Yeah. And I think like this should be like this will become the norm for us. Like imagine we get to like a normal place where like 3 out of 4 seasons, 4 out of 5 seasons, we play 10, 12, 11 and a half as an average, whatever, Champions League games. What a time. What a time. So yeah, I've kind of lost my ordering of everything because I think the predicted 11 is kind of easy. The opposition analysis is like, and you know, everything's got to be taken with a pinch of salt. Football's played on the pitch, not on paper. And you never know, it's 11 men via 11 men, chances and referees, and we've seen it all before, haven't we? But like this Celtic team is rather undeniable for me. Like the ability, the quality at home, the form, the minute management of the squad from front to back is incredible. Like Carter Vickers, that would have been my third. If I got good answer, if I felt that me and Brendan were on the same wavelength, then I'd have said to him, it's very impressive how Carter Vickers has managed to play 7-8 games in a row, whatever it is. And you know, have you seen a real development in Carter Vickers over the last month? I'd ask him something like that because I think Vickers has always got huge expectation, always got a huge burden to carry of responsibility in the defence, but been able to like go through this marathon period every game, you know, 90 minutes. I think he's been subbed off once, and I think that was like at the beginning of it, but he's been in the deep end, you know, pulling us through it all at the back. So this will be a huge game for him. Him and Trusty is a nice partnership in defence. And if it is Cedric Eaton, I fancy it could be like one of the other guys that are faster and they try and counter attack like quickly up the pitch. I don't think this Eaton has legs from memory. He's certainly more of a target man, but like he won't be like as phased as some of the other players. So maybe they use him for that kind of familiarity kind of element that comes into it. But like, make no mistake about it, our players are just levels above, and this is a big game for Arne Engels. I'm hearing Paul John on Axom say this is going to be Engels' man of the match. It certainly could be, because if the pitch is a little bit, not the pitch, the game is a little bit transitional, where after we dominate the ball, they do break out, and it is about being, as Callum McGregor said to me in the press conference, it's about being good both sides of the ball, looking after the ball well, and having that right blend, that right balance. Engels embodies that, I think, in this team when he's fully on it, as well as McGregor potentially. But I think like the main criticism I've always got of the captain is that he just isn't an out and out CDM, and sometimes like just not having that, you know, defensive, you know, those bones that sniff for danger, that spidey sense. It's just sometimes when he gets caught out, and again, loves to kind of shuffle guys rather than engage. But one thing we know about McGregor is he's a leader. One thing we've seen about him at the weekend as well is he's got that drive to get through the pitch. And this is a game where he's having the best scoring season of his career. He's getting on the edge of this, just hitting things first time from the edge of the box more often. It's just a great development we've seen from him in this deep controller position here. But that's the sort of McGregor we want to see, where he's just like going forth and linking, you know, with the other guys. And like, yeah, where would this team finish? I've not seen much of them in the SPFL to really rank them, but they could be second. You know, that's maybe not out the possibilities. Maybe not in their current form, of course, if they can't score a goal against Winterthur, which is borderline criminal, to be honest with you. Rotten atmosphere at the game. What are we talking about? Sorry. Oh, is that maybe the weekend? Or Villa Monaco? Sorry, I beg your pardon. Oh, yeah, I fancied. Have I missed? Oh, no, early kickoffs. I'm not too bored about. I think it's the late kickoffs I fancied. Oh, I've lost my marbles now, but I think I'll watch what I watch. Let's just go for it. But yeah, big one for us. And I think like Kyogo's definitely got his name written in the stars for this, because with all the transfer speculation around him, right, with his age, his contract status and whatever, and like there's no smoke without fire in the transfer market. There really isn't, you know. Like his legacy, well, a lot of it will be how he finishes, you know what I mean? And a couple of big goals at home in the Champions League to secure another 2 games, and then who knows what happens at that point, you know. Let's wait for the eggs to hatch on that one. But Kyogo, this is like legacy time, big man. You know, this is the time to get your shooting boots on. This is your time as well, like, because the number one frustration that you got from Kyogo when he was playing out wide is you've seen his ability on the ball, you've seen his ability to play other people in. And Daiza Maeda, one day he's going to write a book when he retires from football, and he's going to talk about the amount of times Kyogo didn't pass to him, because I see it every week. And, you know, so maybe Kyogo can finally start passing to somebody else sometimes. Not always, because he's a finisher, he's a shooter, I get that. But sometimes, come on, Kyogo, it's job, especially at 0-0. That's the main bugbear for me. At 0-0, Kyogo, just fucking pass it from now on, go on. 3-0 for tomorrow. We'll do some score predictions as well. let's get stuck into it. I think we'll kind of touched on the squad here. This is the way they're probably shaped up. And I say, they're going to counter attack. That's going to be the main thing. Greg Taylor's got a big match because, and again, this is something that we all need to think about when it comes to Greg Taylor and probably every other player in the squad to a greater or lesser extent, depending on who you want to chat about. But Greg Taylor every year has got better. And I was saying at the beginning of this season, Taylor was on to have his best season in the hoops. I thought he looked amazing at the beginning of this year. Until a wee bit of injury, Valley had some form, and then the contract stuff has kind of came up. He's still been good, but he's just not had that top gleam that he probably had in the first 8 matches of the season, something like that. But he has got better every year, and because he has got better, I had no problem with him playing Bruges. I had no problem with him playing Zagreb. I've got no problem with him playing Young Boys. But against Zagreb, it was fine, I would say. But I remember against Bruges thinking you had to do better in that game, and you didn't. This is for him personally, not to prove anything to anyone else, but I think for him, this is a game Taylor needs to put his name on in a big way because he has been great. He deserves a victory lap. If he is going to leave, by all accounts, I don't think he wants to play second fiddle to Tierney, which is widely expected to be the next signing we make for a left back at this point. And fine, whatever, I get it. But that wee guy needs a game where everyone just recognizes he done something unreal for us, because he does such amazing stuff 90-80% of matches. And, we can talk about the other 10 or 20%, but it's just maybe fine without being spectacular or negative, but whatever. But I think this is a game that, depending on what their weapons are and how we do play the defense, because Alistair Johnson is some games, especially in Europe, has been a bit more conservative. Borderline back three, you might even say. We're talking about in the last couple of matches how McGregor has maybe resembled a centre back at times before the Kilmarnock game. So maybe Alistair Johnson's on a bit of a leash, and that allows Taylor to kind of just do his wild card element where he can pop up kind of wherever he's wanted or needed, or is it just maybe a wee bit more closer to the orthodox, in preparation for some changes, and just play wide and just have the midfield linked together better because you're not going to play funny moves with the defense. That'll be interesting to see. I would love to see Kyogo play football. If Kyogo could play football in this game as a centre forward, as the press machine as we know he is, again, it could be a great legacy night for him. And for Dyson and Kuhn, really both of them have got everything they want in their favour at this point. Kuhn would have probably wanted a few more matches under his belt in the lead up to it, but still looking good, isn't he, at this stage? And coming back for the Kilmarnock game there is just as good as a warm-up that you could want personally. Chilpil is saying Taylor assist. I hope it's a beauty. I hope it's undeniable. You can't praise Taylor. The roasters will come for you. How can you not praise Taylor? Taylor, it's just a couple of games, Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid and whatever else. These are the problems we've had. Maybe Feyenoord and stuff like that. He's not been fantastic. And again, I've just said something similar about Bruges. But I think when a guy gets better every year, he earns a bit of the chance to prove he's got the ability to break that glass ceiling. And like I say, I've just got this fading kind of feeling from the Bruges game. I remember thinking, Taylor, yeah, you've missed a chance there to really, do something there. In the Zagreb game, I think Zagreb, everyone was just a 6, weren't they? For the kind of just bird's eye view of it all. Going to go 4-0 tomorrow for Jackie Dillon. I think everyone does fancy high scoring. I think clean sheet is on the cards as well. I really do think I can't get away from it. If we score early, we score quick, even if we get 1 or 2, they are just going to think, don't get pumped. They don't want to be Bratislava, but we want them to be Bratislava, because if we look at this table, again, do we want to think about goal difference? I don't think top 8 is anything we could look at, is it? That's kind of off the table now, I'm sure. But yeah, 9 points, top 8 at the moment. Not out of the question, but that's not going to happen, is it? What we maybe need to be a wee bit more worried about is some of these results below us now. PSV are away to Red Star, so they're going to pick up 3 points in this match day. I already mentioned Stuttgart. They're going to jump up to 10 points. We've got how do you say it again? It's the Oil El Clasico. I can't remember how you say it, the funny way for it. But PSG, Man City, one of them is going to go to 10, 11 points. Maybe it's a draw, actually, kind of nullify the pair of them. Zagreb are playing Arsenal. They're getting pumped. And then the teams above us, Bruges are playing Juve, Feyenoord are playing Liverpool, Sporting have got a game they should win, Benfica are playing Barca, they're all on 10 points, Juve are playing Bruges, obviously, as we mentioned there. So this kind of middle section of the 3 points here, there's just something that's, I don't know who it was, but somebody in the press conference asked like about winning the game and not losing it and stuff like that. It's like, what are you saying, mate? Like, what? This is a game that we are winning, you know. I did my prediction for the Champions League group stage, and I'm sure I had us on. I think I had us finishing on like, oh, it was like 14 points or something like that. And the only kind of optimistic thing I can't remember going into it, but anyone that predicted the Champions League group stage had us beating Young Boys at home. That's not changed. It's not going to change. It's just the way it is. We are beating this team. End of story. 10 goals scored and 10 conceded. We've done a great job to eat up that deficit, by the way, against Borussia Dortmund, because they've done us for 7 in 6 games. You know what I mean? 3 goals conceded. We're good. Like, we are like thoroughly earning being in the top 18. I think that's kind of what we're going to finish here, isn't it? Which is fantastic. The top half of the table, 36 teams. I'm buzzing with that. Now, who would I ever thought you'd say as a Celtic fan, I'm happy to be mid-table, right? But I don't mind being in that world, the big league, you know, getting up there, first season. Yeah, like, I don't mind that. But it comes with winning this game, you know. And I think it's one we can score goals in. I think it's one we can keep it tight at the back. And like we've mentioned in a roundabout way with some other stuff in the stream today, like, you know, the landscape is changing. The landscape is changing, and it's not just about playing for these big teams in the big 5 leagues or whatever, but you can play for one of those powerhouse teams, Celtic, Benfica, PSV. You know, traditionally everyone wants to say Ajax in these conversations, don't they? Salzburg. You know, you could be a Champions League player, and then all we need to do is start selling guys for 70 million quid. You know, once we've sold a guy for over 40 mil, we are a big boy, you know. Once we sell a guy for 50 million, for 70 million, that's us bona fide big boys, you know. And that's not too far away, depending on how things shake out and all the rest of it. So chat's been firing away, sorry. Guys, I'll do my best to keep up with it. The only other thing I would so we're chatting predicted lineups, we kind of went through that for both, of course. Now, how that actually scoreline, I can see so many actual different goal scorers in this game, kind of similar to Bratislava. And if they do play this secondary goalkeeper or this new goalkeeper or whatever, like, I think Kuhn gets involved in the action quite thoroughly. I think Kyogo and Dyson are going as well. So I think there's just 3 goals set here. Could we get another contributor? Could one of these guys double up a little bit? Probably. So, and I'm a rather optimistic person. So I think if I kind of continue to walk myself down this path, I'm going to end up with like 6-0 or something. So I'm going to stop myself here and say 4-0 is probably my score prediction. I'm going to go with 4-0. I think we get 1 or 2 rapid as well. Because again, if you think about like, oh, this team have gave us a hard time in recent weeks, Dundee or whatever, they've got that contempt of familiarity with Celtic. You know, we play them a million times. You know, we play a team called Dundee every 3 days, and you know what I mean. So it's not the same as midweek under the floodlights, a place you've never been, a team you've never faced. They've got nothing to play for. We've got everything to play for. It's going to be the unstoppable force meets the movable object, and we're just going to get swept aside, I think. Quick start. Maybe the handbrake comes on a little bit. Maybe they threaten the goal a little bit. Maybe somebody gets booked. I don't know. But in this Champions League, you can't totally. Again, we could just Bratislava them. They're there for the taking. They did not score a goal against Winterthur. Yes, maybe they pick up a bit of the stardust that will be in the air. The Champions League anthem and playing in one of the top stadiums in European football. Maybe they run a bit faster, you know, jump a couple of inches taller, whatever. But I don't think, you know, it's not like, and again, always need to remember with Rosenborgs and Malmos and Elfsborgs and everything in between of random ass teams that we should be wiping that. Anyway, by the by, chat for another day, I suppose. But yeah, I'm going to go with the 4-0 on this one. And in terms of a man of the match, like, kind of spoke Taylor's potential up here to be a match influence. I think Engels' potential to be a match influence is well spoken about, well covered at this point. But I think like Hatate being so hot and cold in a lot of people's eyes, like this could be the game for him to really, again, like put the doubters out of question. You know, we've had some games in the past with maybe the likes of Dyson and Kuhn in the Champions League already, but it's like, wow, they've really shown something. And I think Hatate has done it in spells, but he's not, like, again, similar to what I was saying with Taylor. Like, if Hatate left tomorrow, there would still be people that would go, he wasn't that good anyway, if you know what I mean. So I think these guys deserve that extra little bit of, I don't know if respect's quite the word, but like, when you think about how good they've been for us and how good they are, etc., like, a game like this to really put your name out in lights, make the headlines, I think it's an opportunity that I think he will be very motivated to go after. And again, if the front three are on song and dancing like we're talking about here, then he is primed to be a major influence in this game, as is Arne Engels and maybe one or two others. Of course, the captain, we've already mentioned him as well. Could be a big game for Kasper, because like, again, like, how many chances are they going to get in the game? Not sure. But what does matter is when they get them, so I think, especially early on, if the game, like the scoreline, there's not 2 goals in it or whatever, or for as long as there's not 2 goals in it, I don't want to totally jinx this too much. I've been doing plenty of that for the last 30 minutes, but that doesn't matter how many saves Schmeichel needs to make, he needs to make them as well, unless we're talking like firecracker worldies and stuff like that, but Schmeichel, he's going to play a big part in this as well. If we qualify for the Champions League, maybe the club will meet his wage demands. Who is he? Sorry, is that KT perhaps? I'm not sure about a wage demands thing. I think it's maybe like Arsenal are probably saying he is $500,000 or something like that, and Celtic are being too tight. Or it might be something knob. Do you know, again, I was listening to Axon today. They were saying that we paid like 2 million as a loan fee for Laxalt. So like, if that's the world we live in, if that's what Celtic do, then paying 2 million quid to get Tierney for knockout round of the Champions League, they'll be doing that, won't they? Well done, McLaughlin P, by the way. What a run that is. What a record. Got a timeout on Sky. Well done, mate. Craig. Do you know, I've seen that guy for the first time today. What's his name? Gordon Duncan. I've seen him today for the first time. Do you know he clocked us? So I thought, you've definitely seen the channel. Or I did tweet him one time. I did tweet him. I think it was around the Cherny penalty crap. I definitely did tweet him, calling him out. But I deleted it because I looked at his Twitter and I'm like, this guy doesn't ever reply to anything. So I just look at an idiot tweeting at him. He'll never reply. So, so yeah, I'm going to go with 4-0. Man of the match. I don't know if it's a tip, but yeah, my pick would be Hatate or Kyogo. I think Kyogo could be the real. If Kyogo got a hat-trick in this game, something mad like that. It's quite a tough one, man of the match. Engels again's got the makings of doing it at both sides here, being quite eye-catching, quite the highlight maker. I think highlight maker. I think Hatate. Oh, man of the match, standout player. It's going to be quite a tough one, isn't it? I'm going to say Kyogo. I think Kyogo could get like 2 goals in this game, maybe a hat-trick. I think Kyogo could do that. This is a sort of game where, yeah, I'm going to go with Kyogo to be man of the match in some way. And I'll show you to finish out as well, guys. Lovies and leavies. I've got some of my fantasy football teams locked and loaded. I managed to get some full Celtic stacks out. I tweeted out saying, Brendan says play full Celtic stacks. So I've got 2 teams here. Full Celtic, 1 double attack. So if we score some goals, we're looking for Kuhn and Maeda to be in amongst it, and we're chasing down, I think it's like $1,500 in the top of this prize pool. The rewards all get paid out in whatever currency you want, euros, dollars, pounds, whatever. And then this one is going in a lesser competition. It's only for $1,000, and that's double defense. So like if Trusty and Scales boss the match, Captain McGregor in this one, Captain Kuhn in that one, Engels the midfielder over here. Quite excited for that. Some other stuff in the Champions League or whatever. Hatate and Johnson in with my Rafinha. That could be fun. And yeah, I put Angus Gunn. I've run out of Kasper Schmeichels because I put Kasper Schmeichel in like the dream team competition essentially, where it's like pick whoever you want, but you can play one card that you own. And I picked a Kasper because I just think he's going to do great this game week. Nice wee boost. And we started that well with a Captain Mertens. Wow, Kiev got a 3-3 draw. Kiev were like bottom of the Europa League before this. So, fair dues to them for that. But yeah, the last one I had it was a Angus Gunn team, which is not really just going for cards, that team. GT Hatate defender, a wee bit of a cheat code card that I own from an old Celtic collection a few years ago. But yeah, big game week. I'm looking forward. Big game week, big midweek, Champions League party. I'm very much looking forward to it. And I think, yeah, guys, we've got, we'll have some more content coming out. We'll have like a breakdown of the game afterwards as well as a look ahead to the game this weekend, predicted 11s, plenty of more content to come here on the channel. I was rather tied up over the weekend, so I had to re-watch the Kilmarnock game, which then by the time I'd got there, like making a video became kind of redundant at that point because everyone's spoken about it. You probably wouldn't have overly been like, oh, I can't wait to hear what Quinny says about it. So I thought I'll just slide by that and just move on to previewing for Champions League. So hopefully we've touched on all the bases we managed to line up before we get started today. And all that's left to say, guys, I suppose, is if you're going to the game, travel safe, of course. Make sure to bring your lucky scarf, bring your singing voices as well. Make sure to get your program, get your Paradise Windfall tickets in. And it's going to be a magic one under the floodlights. Well gelled to everyone that's going to it. Travel safe, have fun. If you're going to be like me and watching it at home, it's going to be a great one. I hope we're all set for it. Got the time off work and all the rest of it. I hope you've all done that and you're all set and ready to rock and roll. But don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more content like this. And hail, and I'll see you tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, maybe. On the hoops.